through 12. Now, again, Paul's talking about the tongues, that spiritual gift. And he's talking about the usage of all the gifts. What gifts, as we use, are edifying for the building of the church? Those we ought to use for one another, undergirded by love. The gifts that are gifts that support and strengthen myself, such as the gifts of tongues. Not saying they're bad. In fact, he says he wishes everybody did. Nevertheless, what is good for the building of the church, the believers of God? And kind of getting to our text for today, he's going to bring up the image of languages as well. So, verse 10, there are doubtless many different languages in the world, and none is without meaning. But if I do not know the meaning of the language, I will be a foreigner to the speaker, and the speaker a foreigner to me, not understanding at all what is being said or going forward. Imagine that you had a missionary come in, and the missionary, let's say from Kenya, speaking Swahili, and they go forward in order to give a message to the congregation. And the entire message is in Swahili. Nobody speaks Swahili. Maybe a couple people know 20 words in Swahili. I know about 20 words and know those words. And so every once in a while, oh, I know that word. Oh, I know that word at the most. And so would it be impressive? It could be very impressive. Would it be memorable? People will remember that for a long time. But is it edifying for the church? No. It would be impressive. This is awesome. Look at this. Look what's going on. But I didn't really get a single thing out of it. He's saying that's the speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues is going forward, proclaiming the word, yes, in this tongue. But if people don't understand what in the world you're saying, you're a foreigner to me, I'm a foreigner to you. It's not edifying for the church of God. It says these ought to be edifying and growth, and therefore God's holy people. Praise be to the Lord in the building of the church. I know that when I've been at other or in worship services in other languages, I'll be there and I'll listen and I learn, absolutely. But I get nothing out of the sermon. I see the person preaching. I hear him. I remember one that was done in Arabic when I was in Syria. It was being preached. It was being taught. I could see what was going on, but it wasn't edifying for me at all. I was, in this words, a foreigner, not understanding. But the Lord is even able to work despite a lot of that too, because I can remember in doing that, in sharing and listening, and at certain points of the service, even though I didn't get the words at all, I knew what was going on, and those were edifying for me. They'd start saying the Lord's Prayer. And it was interesting that in Arabic and in English, you got basically the same cadence. The Apostles' Creed, same way. When that was starting, all of a sudden, after a sentence or two, I knew what was going on, and I could understand. And out of that whole worship service, the Lord's Prayer was edifying. The Apostles' Creed was edifying. The sermon was not, although it was very impressive and very memorable. I remember it very well. And so he says, same way with the speaking in tongues. The sermon that I didn't understand at all would be like if they were speaking in tongues. If it's interpreted and shared, he's going to get to that soon, then it's like hearing the Lord's Prayer. And it's a different words, same cadence. And I was praying the Lord's Prayer, me in English, them in Arabic, yes. Nevertheless, we can then come to verse 12. So with yourselves, since you are eager for the manifestations of the Spirit, he's not saying that's wrong. You're eager. Praise be to the Lord. But strive to excel in building up the church. Lord, whatever gifts you give us, praise be to you. Nevertheless, strive for those gifts that build up his holy church. As he said in the previous yesterday, with revelation, with knowledge, with prophecy, with preaching, with teaching. In Christ